just days after being sentenced to 15 years behind bars for her role in the tragic death of football star Diogo Jota. Rute collapsed. Not emotionally. Not metaphorically. But physically. Inside one of Portugal's most feared women's prisons, surrounded by concrete walls, locked doors, and inmates who call her a murderer. Rute reportedly fell to the ground, unconscious, shaking, and unresponsive. Now, emergency medical staff have rushed in. And the nation is asking, was this a mental breakdown? A medical crisis? Or a strategic move in a high-stakes game to win sympathy, and maybe even freedom? Because what's happening behind those prison gates is darker than anyone expected. Let's break it down. According to 2 leaked prison memos, obtained by a local Portuguese journalist and picked up by international outlets overnight, Rute fainted during her 4th day inside Lisbon's Santarém Correctional Facility, a mid-security women's prison known for overcrowding, aggression, and zero tolerance for celebrity inmates. Around 10:42 a.m. local time, Rute was reportedly standing in line during medication distribution when a guard noticed her wobble. Witnesses say she turned pale, clutched her stomach, then collapsed violently to the floor. No screams. No warning. Just silence, and then chaos. 2 nearby guards called for medical backup as other inmates reportedly began yelling, "Let her die," and "Murderer." Rute was carried out on a stretcher. No cameras. No public update. Just a name. And a mystery. Immediately, speculation exploded online. Was it panic? Dehydration? Self-harm? Or something deeper? One prison insider, speaking anonymously to Correio de Manha, said Rute hadn't eaten for 3 days. She'd refused food, withdrawn from social activity, and barely spoken a word since arriving. She just stares at the wall, the source said. No crying. No yelling. Just complete stillness. It's not normal. Another guard told reporters, "We feared she was slipping into a psychiatric state." This collapse didn't surprise anyone. But then came the hospital leak. Hours after Rute was removed from the prison, someone inside Lisbon's Santa Maria hospital leaked part of a medical intake form to a Portuguese blogger. The line that went viral? Patient presented with elevated heart rate, signs of malnourishment, and psychological distress consistent with acute trauma response. Psychological distress. Malnourishment. Elevated heart rate. To the public, it sounded like one thing, a mental breakdown. But there was one more phrase scribbled near the bottom of the intake notes. And it sent social media into a frenzy. Observe for possible pregnancy. Wait, pregnant? The moment that word appeared, the internet exploded. Hundreds of theories began pouring in. Could Rute have been pregnant during the trial? Is that why her lawyers pushed for a closed-door testimony? Was this part of a plea deal gone wrong? Or, is this all part of an attempt to reduce her sentence? Legally, in Portugal, if Rute is confirmed to be pregnant, especially with Diogo Jota's child, this could impact not only her prison conditions but also inheritance rights and public sympathy. But so far, no official confirmation. Just a leak. Just a sentence on a form. And a world full of questions. When news of the collapse broke, reactions were instant and divided. Some fans expressed shock and heartbreak. She's clearly not well. Whether she's guilty or not, this is a woman in crisis. This whole story is tragic. Let her grieve in peace. But others weren't buying it. She drugged him and let him drive. Don't let her fool you now. It's all a performance. Collapse, cry, Play the victim. Classic manipulation. Hashtags like #Rute collapse, #Justice for Diogo, and #Prison breakdown began trending on X, formerly Twitter. Comment sections are ablaze with arguments, threats, and conspiracy theories. Even Portuguese talk shows are dedicating full episodes to the collapse. Was it real? Or rehearsed? Inside Santarém, the inmates aren't moved by the drama. In fact, reports suggest Rute has already been targeted by several women in her cell block. One woman, convicted of arson and interviewed off-record by Jornal de Notícias, said she thought she'd be treated special. But she's just like the rest of us now. You kill someone, you pay. Others called her a witch, murderer, and rich girl who thought she'd get away with it. Guards have reportedly placed Rute in a protective wing, away from general population, for her safety. She is being kept in a small unit with padded walls, a surveillance camera, and limited interaction. And after her collapse? Security around her has doubled. Now comes the big question. Could this collapse, especially if tied to mental health or pregnancy, change the course of her sentence? Her legal team is expected to file a motion as early as next week requesting a sentence review based on new medical developments. One lawyer connected to the defense told reporters, "This is no longer just a legal matter. This is a medical emergency. We are working to secure proper care for Rute, both physically and psychologically." But prosecutors are already pushing back. They argue that the collapse is a distraction from the real issue. Diogo Jota is dead. And now, Rute's possible appeal could spark a new wave of legal battles, especially if a pregnancy is confirmed. Because that would introduce another stakeholder into Diogo's estate. A potential heir to $138 million. So now we wait. Rute remains in medical care, closely monitored, heavily guarded, and at the center of a firestorm that just won't end. The collapse was real. The symptoms are real. But the motives? That's for the world to decide. Was this the moment her guilt finally crushed her from within? Or the start of a new chapter in a carefully calculated defense? One thing's for sure. This isn't over. Not even close. Let us know what you believe in the comments. Was this justice, catching up to a broken woman? Or the performance of a lifetime? Subscribe for more updates on the Diogo Jota case, and we'll see you in the next chapter, because something tells us this story is about to take another turn.